This is our past, gentlemen. This is where we have been. This is how we got here. This is who we are today.
You find out life's this game of inches. So is football. Because in either game, life or football, the margin for error is so small. I mean, one half a step too late or too early, and you don't quite make it. 1/2 second too slow, too fast, you don't quite catch it. The inches we need are everywhere around us.
It's not about that scoreboard out there. It's not about winning. It's about you and your relationship to yourself and your family and your friends.
They're strong, fast, and undefeated. So far. But I want you to remember where God has brought us. I want you to remember how hard you've worked. We weren't supposed to have a winning season, but we do. We weren't supposed to advance through the playoffs, but we did. We're not supposed to be here, but we are. So if there's anything in you that says this is a losing effort, throw it out. Because as I stand here, I believe that as long as we honor God, nothing is impossible.
Welcome back to Diggin' Deeper, everyone. I'm your host, Brian Parsons, and I'm thrilled you've joined us for another edition of Diggin' Deeper into the NFL. Here at our ministry, we proudly combine our faith with our love for the game. As a Christian ministry, our foundation is firmly rooted in Christ. But that doesn't mean we shy away from breaking down the grit, grind, and glory of competition, especially in the National Football League. Football is a passion, not our purpose. With that perspective, we approach every game, every play, and every matchup as an opportunity to reflect on perseverance, teamwork, and character values that transcend the field and point us back to the Lord. With that in mind, let's get in the huddle and dig deeper into the NFL. The 2025 season brought us thrilling storylines, incredible performances, and plenty of lessons in perseverance and teamwork, both on and off the field. As we enter the wild card round of the playoffs, we'll break down the X's and O's, highlight the players who rose to the occasion, and examine the moments that defined each game. From resilient teams overcoming injuries to underdogs seizing their chance, these matchups remind us that success is earned through preparation, faith, and unity. At Diggin' Deeper, we celebrate more than stats and scores. We honor the character, leadership, and commitment displayed by players and coaches alike. Football is our passion, but Christ remains our purpose. And even in the intensity and excitement of the game, we see opportunities to reflect on discipline, courage, and heart. So grab your playbook, keep your eyes on the Lord, and let's break down this weekend's wildcard games with insight, inspiration, and a love for the game that mirrors our love for Him. So let's go digging deeper into the wildcard round of the NFL playoffs. The first playoff game for the 2025-2026 NFL season kicked off on Saturday, January 10, 2026, when the Los Angeles Rams traveled to Charlotte, North Carolina, to take on the Carolina Panthers in a highly anticipated wildcard matchup. Both teams came into the game looking to advance deeper into the playoffs, with Los Angeles relying on quarterback Matthew Stafford and a balanced offense, while Carolina hoped Bryce Young and their rushing attack could control the pace at home. The contest promised an exciting clash of styles, as the Rams' passing attack met the Panthers' opportunistic defense on Saturday evening. This would be the first time the two teams have met in the playoffs and the second matchup this season. In Week 13, the Panthers edged the Rams at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, with an upset in a closely contested game, 31-28, snapping the Rams' 6-game winning streak and boosting its own playoff hopes. On Saturday evening in Charlotte, North Carolina, the Los Angeles Rams again visited the Carolina Panthers in a high-stakes wildcard matchup that delivered excitement from start to finish. The Rams relied on a balanced but pass-heavy attack to control the game, with quarterback Matthew Stafford completing 24 of 42 passes for 304 yards and 3 touchdowns, offsetting a lone interception and absorbing just 1 sack. Puka Nacua led the receiving corps with 10 catches for 111 yards and a touchdown, while Devontae Adams and tight ends Tyler Higbee and Colby Parkinson contributed critical chain-moving catches, including a red zone score. On the ground, Los Angeles accumulated 116 rushing yards, with Kyren Williams gaining 57 and Nacua adding a rushing touchdown, allowing the Rams to mix their attack and keep Carolina's defense off balance. Carolina countered with Bryce Young, who finished 21 of 40 for 264 yards with 1 touchdown and 1 interception. But the Panthers struggled to sustain drives under pressure, taking 2 sacks for 14 lost yards. Chuba Hubbard powered the Carolina rushing attack with 46 yards and 2 touchdowns, while Young added a score on the ground, though the team managed just 83 total rushing yards. Jalen Coker led the receiving corps with 9 catches for 134 yards and a touchdown, and Tetairoa McMillan added 81 yards. But it wasn't enough to overcome the Rams' efficiency and explosive playmaking. Ultimately, Los Angeles' combination of aerial firepower and timely runs proved decisive, allowing the Rams to escape Charlotte with the victory and advance in the postseason. Although the final score was close, the stat sheet tells the story of a hard-fought, evenly matched contest between the Los Angeles Rams and Carolina Panthers. Both teams recorded 21 first downs, with the Rams generating 16 through the air compared to Carolina's 12, while the Panthers held a slight edge on the ground with 5 rushing first downs to the Rams' 4. Los Angeles had the advantage in total yardage, finishing with 411 yards on 72 plays to Carolina's 333 yards on 64 plays, while both quarterbacks threw 1 interception apiece. Matthew Stafford completing 24 of 42 for 295 yards, and Bryce Young finishing 21 of 40 for 250. Third and fourth down efficiency told the tale of stalled drives, as the Rams converted just 3 of 13 third downs and 1 of 2 fourth downs, while Carolina went 5 of 12 on third down but failed on all 3 fourth down attempts. Los Angeles rushed for 116 yards on 29 carries compared to Carolina's 83 on 22 attempts, and the Rams also held a slight edge in possession, with 31 minutes and 46 seconds to 28 minutes and 14 seconds, helping them sustain drives and ultimately secure the narrow victory. Both teams were sharp in the red zone. Los Angeles went 4 for 5, while Carolina was perfect 4 for 4. But turnovers and penalties proved costly, with Carolina committing 2 turnovers and only 4 minor penalties compared to the Rams, 9 for 83 yards. In a game this tight, every yard, stop, and mistake mattered, highlighting why the matchup was a preview of the intensity that would carry over into the playoffs. With a hard-fought victory over the Carolina Panthers in Charlotte, the Los Angeles Rams advanced to the divisional round of the playoffs and will travel to Soldier Field to face the Chicago Bears. The win highlighted the Rams' balance and resilience, as Matthew Stafford and a deep receiving corps carried the team through a tightly contested game. With their win over the Carolina Panthers, the Los Angeles Rams advanced to the divisional round, where they will face the Chicago Bears at Soldier Field. The matchup presents an intriguing contrast. The Bears' defense has struggled to prevent big plays, giving up explosive gains through the air and on the ground, yet they lead the NFL in defensive takeaways, making them one of the league's most opportunistic and dangerous units. The Rams will need to balance aggressive play calling with ball security, as Matthew Stafford and his receivers look to exploit gaps while avoiding costly turnovers against a team that thrives on creating them. Soldier Field is set to host a high-stakes clash of strategy and execution, as Los Angeles aims to carry its momentum from the Charlotte victory into the next round. In a hard-fought NFC wildcard round clash at Soldier Field, the Chicago Bears upset the Green Bay Packers in a thrilling contest fueled by timely plays and opportunistic defense. Quarterback Caleb Williams led the Bears with 24 completions on 48 attempts for 361 yards and 2 touchdowns, while also forcing turnovers that proved critical in a tight game. The Bears' receiving corps contributed key big plays, with Colston Loveland catching 8 passes for 137 yards and DJ Moore adding 64 yards and a touchdown, keeping Green Bay's defense on its heels throughout. On the ground, DeAndre Swift powered the rushing attack with 54 yards and a touchdown, while Chicago's running game added enough balance to open up opportunities in the passing game. Green Bay's Jordan Love had an impressive statistical line, completing 24 of 46 passes for 323 yards and 4 touchdowns without an interception, spreading the ball across multiple targets including Romeo Doubs, Matthew Golden, Jaden Reed, and Christian Watson, all of whom found the end zone. Josh Jacobs added 55 rushing yards, but the Packers were unable to capitalize on key moments, and turnovers ultimately tipped the game in Chicago's favor. Despite giving up big plays, the Bears' league-leading takeaway defense came through when it mattered most, forcing pivotal stops and creating opportunities that secured the victory. In this tense playoff showdown at Soldier Field, the Chicago Bears used a combination of opportunistic defense and clock control to edge the Green Bay Packers in a 445 to 421 yard shootout. The Bears dominated first downs, finishing with 24 to Green Bay's 21, and controlled the ball for over 32 minutes, using sustained drives to keep Packers quarterback Jordan Love off balance. Love had a strong game, completing 24 of 46 passes for 322 yards and 4 touchdowns without an interception. But the Packers were undone by turnovers and key defensive stops. The Packers gained 99 rushing yards on 23 carries and passed for 322 yards, with multiple receivers finding the end zone. But they struggled to capitalize in the red zone, scoring on 3 of 3 attempts while Chicago managed only 2 of 5. Third down efficiency also favored the Bears, 10 of 19 versus 6 of 15. And Green Bay's lack of turnovers couldn't overcome Chicago's ability to make stops when it mattered. In the end, the Bears, combination of clock management, timely big plays, and defensive opportunisms, secured the road victory and a step closer to the NFC Championship. The win keeps the Chicago Bears alive in the postseason and marks a dramatic triumph over their longtime division rival, the Green Bay Packers, leaving the Packers to reflect on a high-scoring game where explosive plays weren't enough to overcome Chicago's opportunistic defense. With momentum firmly on their side, the Bears now turn their attention to the Los Angeles Rams, who advanced after a hard-fought victory over the Carolina Panthers in Charlotte on Saturday. Soldier Field will host what promises to be a tense and high-stakes NFC showdown, as Chicago's turnover-forcing defense faces the Rams' balanced offensive attack led by veteran quarterback Matthew Stafford. Both teams bring postseason experience and playmakers capable of changing the game in an instant, setting the stage for a classic road versus home clash in the divisional round. In a high-octane AFC matchup down in Jacksonville, the Buffalo Bills eked out a hard-fought victory over the Jaguars, showcasing a mix of steady passing, balanced rushing, and timely defensive stops. Quarterback Josh Allen delivered a strong performance, completing 28 of 35 passes for 273 yards and a touchdown, while keeping the ball secure with no interceptions and taking just 1 sack. Allen spread the ball effectively across his receiving corps, with Khalil Shakir leading the team with 12 receptions for 82 yards, Brandon Cooks adding 58 yards, and tight end Dalton Kincaid catching a 15-yard touchdown pass to spark the offense. Running back James Cook III chipped in with 26 carries for 79 yards and 2 touchdowns, helping Buffalo maintain balance and keep Jacksonville's defense off stride. The Jaguars countered with a dynamic offensive display led by Trevor Lawrence, who threw for 207 yards and 3 touchdowns, but was also intercepted twice. Jacksonville leaned on big play potential, with Parker Washington hauling in 7 receptions for 107 yards and a touchdown, and Travis Etienne Jr. adding 49 receiving yards and a score, while also rushing for 67 yards on 10 carries. Despite producing explosive plays and keeping the game competitive, the Jaguars were unable to capitalize in critical moments, with turnovers proving costly. Buffalo's ability to protect the football and execute in the red zone allowed them to edge past Jacksonville in a contest where both teams displayed firepower. The win propels the Bills deeper into the postseason, while the Jaguars must regroup after a valiant offensive effort fell just short. The Buffalo Bills escaped with a narrow victory over the Jaguars, thanks to a combination of efficient passing, timely rushing, and key defensive stops. Despite both teams finishing with 20 first downs, the Bills were able to control the clock and manage the game effectively, holding possession for nearly 34 minutes compared to Jacksonville's 26. Quarterback Josh Allen led the Bills with 28 completions on 35 attempts for 261 yards and a touchdown, while taking only 1 sack and avoiding turnovers. The ground game, led by James Cook III, contributed 79 yards on 26 carries, complementing the passing attack and keeping the Jaguars' defense honest. Buffalo was perfect in the red zone, converting all 3 scoring opportunities, and converted 7 of 14 third downs to sustain drives. Jacksonville leaned on a potent rushing attack, gaining 154 yards on 23 carries, with Travis Etienne Jr. and Bashul Tutin doing most of the damage. Quarterback Trevor Lawrence threw for 205 yards and 3 touchdowns, but was intercepted twice, a factor that ultimately tilted the game in Buffalo's favor. The Jaguars were explosive on a per-play basis, averaging 6.6 yards per snap compared to the Bills' 5.5. But turnovers and stalled drives in key moments kept them from overtaking Buffalo. Both teams moved efficiently between the 20s, but Buffalo's ball control, perfect red zone execution, and disciplined play under pressure allowed them to advance in the postseason, leaving Jacksonville to regroup after a strong but ultimately short-falling effort. With the win, the Buffalo Bills advance deeper into the playoffs and will face the top-seeded Denver Broncos on Saturday night at Mile High Stadium. Denver enters the matchup as the AFC's most formidable team, boasting a dominant defense and a balanced, explosive offense that has carried them to the top of the conference. Buffalo will need to rely on Josh Allen's dual-threat ability, the playmaking of James Cook III, and a disciplined offensive line to navigate the Broncos' pass rush and control the clock in a hostile environment. The mile-high altitude and passionate home crowd will test the Bills' stamina, but Buffalo's experience in high-pressure postseason games and ability to execute in critical moments give them a fighting chance against the conference's best. Fans can expect a tactical, hard-hitting battle where turnovers, clock management, and explosive plays will likely determine who advances to the AFC Championship. On Sunday evening, the San Francisco 49ers traveled to Lincoln Financial Field to face the Philadelphia Eagles in a wildcard matchup that marked just the third playoff meeting between the two franchises. San Francisco entered the game holding a 2-1 edge in the all-time postseason series, which began with a 49ers victory in the 1996 wildcard round, before the Eagles evened things with a decisive 31-7 win in the NFC Championship game following the 2022 season. Their latest meeting proved just as memorable, as the 49ers used balance, creativity, and timely execution to defeat Philadelphia 23-19 in a game that delivered excitement from start to finish. Despite an uneven night from quarterback Brock Purdy, San Francisco found ways to produce offensively. Purdy completed 18 of 31 passes for 262 yards with 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, while wide receiver Jawan Jennings provided a critical spark by completing a perfect 29-yard touchdown pass on a trick play and helping sustain key drives. The 49ers finished with 286 passing yards and 3 passing touchdowns, spreading the ball effectively as Demarcus Robinson led all receivers with 111 yards and a score. Christian McCaffrey was limited on the ground to 48 yards on 15 carries, but his contributions in the passing game proved vital in keeping the offense moving. Philadelphia struggled to generate explosive plays throughout the night. Jalen Hurts completed 20 of 35 passes for just 168 yards and averaged fewer than 5 yards per attempt, while Saquon Barkley carried the rushing attack with 106 yards on 26 carries. Despite controlling time of possession and outgaining San Francisco on the ground, the Eagles repeatedly stalled in scoring territory, a problem that ultimately proved costly as the game wore on. The challenge facing the 49ers was compounded by injuries and absences. San Francisco entered the contest without key starters Nick Bosa and Fred Warner, both of whom have missed much of the season. The situation worsened when rookie wide receiver Ricky Pearsall was ruled out just before kickoff, and it became even more dire when George Kittle suffered a torn Achilles during the game. If someone had predicted that Purdy would lose a key receiver, see his top tight end go down, and still win behind a battered defense, it would have been hard to believe. Yet that resilience has defined the 49ers all season long. Even while being outpossessed and outrushed, San Francisco controlled the game where it mattered most. The 49ers totaled 361 yards to Philadelphia's 307, and averaged 6.2 yards per play compared to the Eagles' 4.3. San Francisco converted 6 of 11 third downs, committed just 1 penalty for 15 yards, and finished with 20 first downs. Philadelphia held the ball for more than 35 minutes and rushed for 140 yards on 36 attempts, but inefficiency on 3rd and 4th down, along with 7 penalties for 48 yards, stalled multiple promising drives. The 49ers' defense bent but did not break, as both teams finished 2 for 3 in the red zone, allowing San Francisco's explosiveness and discipline to be the difference. The 49ers now turn their attention to the next challenge, as they will face NFC West rival Seattle on Saturday, January 17, 2026, in the third meeting between the teams this season. The series is tied at 1 win apiece, with the road team winning both previous matchups. San Francisco faces a tall task on short rest while traveling to Seattle to take on a well-rested Seahawks team. But after Sunday's performance, the 49ers have once again shown they are prepared to embrace adversity. On Sunday night in Foxborough, the Los Angeles Chargers fell short against the New England Patriots in a hard-fought AFC clash that showcased both teams' defensive resilience. This game never felt close, as the Los Angeles Chargers struggled to protect their star quarterback, Justin Herbert, who was sacked 6 times for 39 yards. From the outset, New England's defensive pressure disrupted the Chargers' timing and limited their offensive effectiveness. Los Angeles was unable to generate sustained drives, managing just 159 passing yards and no touchdowns, while the running game struggled to pick up critical yards. In contrast, the New England Patriots controlled the line of scrimmage and kept the Chargers off balance, combining efficient passing from Drake May with steady contributions from Ramondre Stevenson and Trevayon Henderson on the ground. The result was a lopsided win for the Patriots, highlighting the importance of quarterback protection and situational execution, areas where the Chargers fell well short on Sunday night. Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert completed 19 of 31 passes for 159 yards, but struggled to find consistent rhythm under pressure, taking 6 sacks for 39 yards and failing to throw a touchdown. Los Angeles leaned on their rushing attack, with Herbert himself contributing 57 yards on 10 carries, while Kamani Vidal added 31 yards, and Omarion Hampton chipped in -1 on a single carry. The Chargers spread the ball around, with Ladd McConkey, Oronde Gadsden, and Keenan Allen each hauling in 3 receptions, but the offense was unable to convert big plays into points, finishing with just 159 receiving yards and no touchdowns. The Patriots relied on quarterback Drake May, who completed 17 of 30 passes for 235 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception, while also taking 5 sacks. New England's rushing attack, led by Ramondre Stevenson with 66 yards and Trevayon Henderson with 27, helped keep drives alive and controlled the tempo. May connected with a balanced receiving corps, including Stevenson, Kayshon Boutte, and tight end Hunter Henry, who scored New England's lone touchdown on a 28-yard reception. The Patriots' mix of efficiency through the air and balanced rushing allowed them to overcome the Chargers' pressure-heavy defense and walk away with the win. The New England Patriots controlled Sunday night's matchup against the Los Angeles Chargers, outgaining their opponent 381 to 207 total yards on 64 plays, compared with the Chargers' 59. New England managed 19 first downs, including 12 passing and 7 rushing, while Los Angeles recorded 17 total first downs, with 8 through the air and 7 on the ground. The Patriots were moderately efficient on third downs, converting 4 of 11, while the Chargers managed only 1 of 10. On fourth down, both teams were successful once, though the Chargers needed 3 attempts. The Patriots' offense averaged 6.0 yards per play, significantly higher than Los Angeles' 3.5, fueled by 235 passing yards from 17 completions on 30 attempts, and 146 rushing yards on 29 carries. The Chargers struggled to move the ball through the air, completing 19 of 31 passes for just 120 yards, while gaining 87 yards on 22 rushing attempts. Turnovers proved costly for both sides, as the Patriots threw 1 interception and lost a fumble, while Los Angeles lost a fumble but avoided interceptions. New England also pressured the Chargers' quarterback consistently, recording 5 sacks for 33 yards, while Los Angeles sacked Justin Herbert 6 times for 39 yards. In the red zone, both teams failed to convert for touchdowns, with the Patriots going 0 for 3, and the Chargers 0 for 2. Penalties were minimal for New England with 2 for 35 yards, while the Chargers committed 4 for 20 yards. The Patriots controlled possession for 32 minutes and 15 seconds, keeping the Chargers off balance for much of the game, and ultimately dictated the pace and flow of the contest. While the New England Patriots made quick work of the Chargers on Sunday night, their next challenge comes in the form of the winner between the Houston Texans, a team riding a wave of momentum, and the Pittsburgh Steelers, a team that just squeaked into the playoffs. On Monday night in Pittsburgh, C.J. Stroud led the Houston Texans to a balanced offensive performance against the Pittsburgh Steelers, completing 21 of 32 passes for 250 yards, with 1 touchdown and 1 interception, while taking 3 sacks for 6 yards lost. Stroud's running game also contributed modestly, with 1 carry for no gain, but the Texans' ground attack was fueled by Woody Marks and Nick Chubb, who combined for 160 yards on 29 carries and added a touchdown. Houston's receiving corps saw Christian Kirk lead the way with 144 yards and a touchdown on 8 receptions, supported by Jaden Higgins, Xavier Hutchinson, and Nico Collins, who added consistent yardage to sustain drives. The Steelers struggled to move the ball efficiently, with Aaron Rodgers and Mason Rudolph combining for 112 passing yards on 18 completions and 1 interception, while the rushing attack, led by Jaylen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell, totaled just 63 yards on 18 attempts. Pittsburgh's receiving production was spread out, with DK Metcalf posting 42 yards and Marquez Valdes-Scantling and Kenneth Gainwell contributing in short yardage gains, but the team failed to find the end zone. Overall, Houston controlled the flow of the game through balanced play calling and sustained drives, while the Steelers' offense was limited by pressure and inefficiency. The Houston Texans controlled the game from start to finish against the Pittsburgh Steelers, finishing with 408 total yards on 66 plays, compared to Pittsburgh's 175 yards on 56 plays. Houston recorded 21 first downs, including 12 through the air and 8 on the ground, while the Steelers managed just 13 first downs, 7 passing, and 5 rushing. The Texans were efficient on third down, converting 10 of 15 attempts, and used a balanced attack with 244 passing yards and 164 rushing yards, averaging 6.2 yards per play. Meanwhile, Pittsburgh struggled to sustain drives, averaging only 3.1 yards per play and converting just 2 of 14 third downs. Houston's offense was aided by 3 turnovers, including 2 lost fumbles and 1 interception, while the Texans' defense scored 2 defensive touchdowns, further widening the gap. Penalties were relatively minor for both teams, and Houston also controlled the clock with 32 minutes and 22 seconds of possession. Pittsburgh's struggles in the red zone and inability to generate explosive plays ultimately allowed Houston to dominate the game and advance in the postseason. While the final score showed a lopsided 30-6 victory for the Houston Texans, the game was surprisingly tight for much of the night. Pittsburgh hung tough, keeping the score at 7-6 well into the fourth quarter, frustrating Houston and keeping fans on edge. Many might have expected a blowout from the start, but the first 3 quarters played out as a tense, methodical battle, with both defenses holding firm. It wasn't until the final quarter that the Texans pulled away, capitalizing on turnovers and explosive plays to put the game firmly out of reach and secure their postseason advancement. The Houston Texans will face the New England Patriots next in the postseason. The Patriots advanced after a dominant win over the Los Angeles Chargers, and now Houston will travel to face New England in Foxborough. And just like that, we close the chapter on the 2025 NFL regular season and the wild card round. Soon, we'll be discussing the Super Bowl. We've been with you through 18+ weeks, week in and week out, on Diggin, deeper into the NFL, and we can't thank you enough for joining us on this journey through every matchup, story, and headline. The Super Wildcard Weekend delivered everything fans could hope for. Upsets, heroics, and moments that will be remembered for years to come. From resilient teams overcoming injuries to high-flying offenses lighting up the scoreboard, each game told a story beyond the final box score. We examined not just the stats, but the heart and discipline that defined these matchups. Whether it was the 49ers battling through adversity, the Bears seizing their moment against a fierce division rival, or the Patriots asserting their dominance in Foxborough, each contest offered lessons in perseverance, teamwork, and faith in the process. From all of us here at Diggin, deeper into the NFL, thank you for joining the broadcast this season. I'm Brian Parsons, wishing you the best as we head into the playoffs. Stay safe, enjoy the games ahead, and may God bless you and your love for the game.